Okay, YouTubers, it is time to give an update on the pond and what's been going on. Let's walk back here to the pond and you can see some changes from my last video. One of the first things you're going to notice is that very giant fern over there. It's a giant leather fern. It gets to about 6 feet typically. It's doing really good in my pond. It's probably at about 7 feet pushing. The mangroves are pretty big still. I do have some lilies. I think last video I showed the lilies. Some people asked, hey, how are the lilies doing? This is at 6 parts per thousand. White American water lily, and I forget what the other kind is. I had quite a bit of die-off on plants because basically my scats over the winter ate everything up. Not as much light. Plants grew more slowly. Scats still ate them just as quickly. So the scats outpaced the plants, and so I have a lot less duckweed. In fact, I don't think there's any duckweed left. I do have some hornwort left, and of course some vallisneria and some other stuff that you saw in the smaller trough. Purple flag iris. This is what they call a swamp hibiscus here. I have some pandanus. I think this is called a teacup elephant ear or something along those lines. I can't remember the name of it. There's some crinums over there. I don't know if you can see those or not, but there's some crinum over there. There's the vallisneria in this pond. There is some Anubias nana. Alright, there's a water sprite. That's the Anubias nana there. Some Java fern and Anubias nana mixed in. Some guppy weed. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of losing the light here. Some guppy weed. And of course some sphagnum moss thrown in here. One of my black belt cichlids got caught in a stone or something and died, and my pond kind of crashed. The ammonia levels shot up. I couldn't figure out what was causing it. Had to drain the whole pond, refill it. Ammonia levels went back up because I could not find any reason. I could not find that dead cichlid, and it just ammonia levels kept coming back. Finally, I hooked it up and I said I'm just going to do a constant water change, and I had some new siding done on my house over there, and the guys who did the siding shut the pipe off. By the time I got home, all my fish, not all, but like 90% of these fish unfortunately have died. All my datnoids, scats, pinstripes, monos, archers, everybody. Eels, everybody has just been wiped out, and what's left are basically ambusia, mollies, have some African scats, a few monos, and that's about it. I'm trying to rebuild, get everything going, and avoid the black belt cichlids. No big fish like that again. Those guys would get into fights with each other and get jammed up against the rocks trying to avoid each other, so I'm trying to get more peaceful fish. I'll still get datnoids, but there's enough space in here and I won't get as many. I had like 5 or 6 black belt cichlids. They were really small, got really big, and suddenly I had fish that were over a foot long and weighed like 5 pounds, and maybe 1 or 2 females. They never bred. Maybe I got unlucky and I just got a bunch of males, and they just tore each other up all the time. So no more black belt cichlids. Great fish, but man, they 5 or 6 and apparently 1,800 gallons or so is just not enough. It's 12 feet by 16 feet, and still these guys would terrorize each other. I remember one died one day, and he probably got in a fight. He got stuck somewhere, and I found him. This time around, maybe 1 or 2 died back to back. I don't know. Fighting each other, whatever, pushing each other around. Someone got wedged somewhere and couldn't get out and died, and then they just destroyed the whole pond. So, like I said, I'm going to avoid those guys. I'm going to stick with fish that are not of aggressive. I mean, those guys are really big and bulky. The datnoids are going to be the biggest thing in here, and nothing else is going to get that big. And even though datnoids probably won't get more than a foot in here, it's going to be a New Guinea datnoid and silver datnoid. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the... I'm not going to put snowflake eels. I'm just going to get Tigamora eels. I may not get as many scats. I may get a few silver scats, of course some green and red, but I really like the African scats for their color. I do like green scats because when they get older they get this nice greenish yellow. So green scats are amazing when they get older, believe it or not. the pictures you see online for adult green scats don't do them justice. The red scat's a little bit different. They get a reddish bronze color, bronzy, not even reddish, just a bronze brown color. It's hard to, they don't get as beautiful when they get older. So they're nice when they're small and not so nice when they're older. The green scats, I have to say, are probably the best scats as adults in terms of looks. The monos, the Asian monos or Asian moonies with the yellow, those are probably the best. As they age as well, the black and white ones don't look so great. The African monos, I call them, are moonies. That's a pandanus over there. That's doing pretty well. Of course, over here, my mangroves, I have a red mangrove, black mangrove. You can see the little, lack of a better word, knees. They're not called knees like a cypress tree, they're called something else, but sticking out of the water. And then I have an oriental mangrove in there as well. I've been trying to get, for years, other types of mangroves. There's this site called Manga Bay, I think it was, and they haven't had other types of mangroves in ages, so I've just kind of given up on getting different species of mangroves in this pond. Okay, the reason I'm doing this video today is because I want to show everyone a new type of salt. So normally I use instant ocean salt, and lately I've been using Aquaforest aquarium sea salt. Right, for like marine aquariums, this is Aquaforest. I highly recommend Aquaforest. Very good brand. But you know, the reef salts can get pretty expensive, 80 bucks. So they're more expensive than the instant ocean salts that I tend to use. And I can get a 55-pound or 60-pound box of instant ocean salts for about 60 bucks. Sometimes they go on sale. I haven't seen anything on sale for a while, but sometimes they'll go on sale for as low as $40. I doubt that's going to happen anymore. With the prices of things going up, gas and so forth, it's just, we're not going to see $40 instant ocean, 200-gallon instant ocean. This is 55-pound sea salt, Aquaforest, also for 200 gallons. So I don't know how they formulate it to make it 5 pounds less, but still for 200 gallons versus the instant ocean reef salt. But that's what it says. And then I discovered something new recently. It's called C90. Which wasn't initially, there we go, C90 was not initially made for aquariums. You can get an aquarium version, but it's more expensive. They were made as a minerals and trace element salt for livestock or even for plants. But they're not specially formulated that way. They just come out of the Sea of Cortez is where they get this salt from. And unlike a lot of other salts that are dried in the sun and a lot of the trace minerals just blow away, and trace elements blow away or evaporate, or don't evaporate but get broken down in the sun. These guys don't get exposed to the sun. I believe they are dried out slightly in a shed or warehouse or something, so they're kept moist, and they're not exposed to the sun, and so they retain a lot more minerals and trace elements. And typical sea salt has about 85% sodium chloride, somewhere around there. I'm not sure, maybe 80, 85. This thing is closer to 75 to 80% sea salt or sodium chloride, which means the rest, like 30-something% almost, 25%, a quarter of it is trace and mineral salts. It's very high in trace and mineral salts. So when I saw this, I thought, hey, this might be like the Seachem brackish salts, even though that probably has even lower sodium chloride than this, because this is closer to, it comes from the Sea of Cortez, so it comes from natural salt water. The Seachem brackish salts are probably specifically made in a factory somewhere with lower sodium chloride. I don't know what the sodium chloride content is. That's something proprietary, and there's nowhere that I found where I could find ingredients listed. But I did look this sucker up, and yeah, it is about 75 to 80% sodium chloride, and has tons of mineral and trace elements in it. Even though it's listed for livestock and plants, and the livestock salt and the plant salt is exactly the same, it's just the grain size is different. They also make it, this C90 also makes salt for human consumption. It's the same salt again. Yeah, they just have to handle it differently, I guess, for it to be fit for human consumption. They also make it for aquariums. Of course, when you get stuff that's fit for aquariums and fit for human consumption, the price goes up. If you want the livestock stuff, which is what I suggest, this is what I'm using in my pond, and I got to tell you, my fish, the colors really pop with this salt. More so than the Aquaforest, more so than the reef salt, instant ocean reef salt. This salt is the salt, and I'm going to try and continue to use as much as I can. Well, other than that's got a high mineral content. What's so great about this salt? Oh man, you can't see the ingredients. You can look this salt up. This is an older bag, but you can look it up and you can see the ingredients on their website, C90's website. But what's great about this salt is that I bought it, a 50-pound bag, for $35. And I paid cash for it at some like local livestock place that I can go to. And so that's hard to beat. You can buy it from the company directly, C90, but the problem is shipping and handling. So a 25-pound bag on their website I think is about $35 because shipping and handling is killing them. And if you want a cheaper bag, like this 50-pound bag at a cheaper price, even cheaper than $35 I imagine, because the person selling it to me they ordered it on a pallet. I don't know how much comes in a pallet, let's say like 100 bags or something. And it would be a much lower price if you could do that. Of course, no one can afford to buy this by the pallet, because what am I going to do for 100 bags, right? Even if I pay $25 a bag, that's what, $2,500? It'll take me years and years and years for me to use up 100 bags. So I'm trying to find more people who can sell this stuff, because right now there are only 4 people in the state of Florida, and 2 of them are an hour away from where I live in Central Florida, and the other 2 are like literally in the very north end of Florida and the very south end of Florida, which is like a 4 or 5 hour drive each way. So I'm trying to get the word out about this C90. It is good stuff. You can use it in your pond to treat your fish for, ick or whatever it may be. How you normally raise your salts with aquarium salt or something. But instead you can use this, and it'll be better for the fish in my opinion, because the mineral and trace elements like koi or something like that would benefit more, I think, from it than they would just straight up pool salt or aquarium salt. I believe you could probably use this with marine fish. They don't say you can, but I think you can. Again, it's the same salt in all the different varieties. It's just how they handle the salt that makes it fit for aquariums, fit for human consumption versus for livestock and plants. But it's the same amount of sodium chloride and trace minerals. It's just a matter of how it's graded, the fineness of the grain, how it's handled in transport and so forth. I am assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming that's what makes the difference, because it's still the Sea of Cortez salt. I just want to put that out there. C90, think about it. I don't work for any of these companies. I don't get any money. I just like to put information out there, because information is key in this hobby, for everybody to share information, everybody to gain what they need to know and become better in the aquarium hobby at what they're doing, whether it's reptiles, crustaceans, amphibians, insects. If you have an aquarium, terrarium, I got you. Monitor lizards, whatever it may be. I'm into all those things, or would be if I could afford it all. So, C90, check it out. Be safe.